The Aerospace, the Aerospace Treaty is the foundational piece of legislation in international space law. However, in the 6 decades since its ratification, the rapid pace of technological advancement and changes to the geopolitical order have exposed the shortcomings in this treaty. By looking at its historical context, understanding its current interpretation, and analyzing existing international treaties and agreements, you can find pathways for reform based on how they have addressed similar challenges in their areas of interest. The historical context of the Aerospace Treaty stems to the Cold War, a philosophical and economic conflict between the United States and its allies and the Soviet Union and its allies. The Aerospace Treaty was heavily influenced prior to its ratification by the United Nations Charter, the Antarctic Treaty, and the 1963 Partial Test Ban Treaty. These documents promoted peace and security through cooperation and diplomacy and sought to settle disputes through peaceful means rather than through conflict. A doctrinal analysis of the Aerospace Treaty is broadly broken into three overarching concepts: exploration and access, security framework, and humanitarian and state responsibility. The Aerospace Treaty established a framework for these concepts, but did not provide concrete details on how these concepts should be put into practice. This has led to three main issues currently threatening the Aerospace Treaty. This is resource extraction, the militarization of space, and due regard in regard to on-orbit actions that can lead to catastrophic consequences in the domain, such as the Kessler syndrome, that would render certain orbits unusable for future generations. Looking at comparative lessons from other international agreements, you can first look at the Antarctic Treaty System. The Antarctic Treaty System is a follow-on to the Antarctic Treaty based on agreements that countries have made on concrete actions that should be taken in the domain. Article 9 of the Antarctic Treaty established recurring meetings to discuss matters related to the treaty and to recommend legally binding changes to the treaty. The treaty also differentiates between consolidative and non-consolidative parties based on who has a vested interest or has shown a concrete commitment to the Antarctic. This limits the amount of people that can make a decision on the continent and makes it so tough decisions can be made by the people that are impacted by it most. Another agreement that can be seen is the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. Prior to the United Convention on the Law of the Sea, there was no established zones. However, with the advancements in technology such as fishing and oil deposits, it was important to establish different zones and different levels of sovereignty and different activities that are allowed in each type of zone. This ensures that innocent passage is maintained while ensuring safety and economic activity for all nations that have a coastline. The safety zones in the Arctic Corridor are currently nebulous, and this could be a model for solidify these concepts. The UN Convention on the Law of the Sea also established an international seabed authority to manage mining and drilling operations in international waters with a dual mandate to authorize and control the development of mineral-related operations, protect the ecosystem of the seabed. For space, this organization can issue licenses for specific locations and for specialized periods of time for resource extraction. The cost of these licenses, along with a portion of the value of the resources or profits from their sales, can be managed by this authority.